and welcome to another episode of West Underground. Today is very special. We have none other than Drastic Park joining us, and we've got John here representing Drastic Park. How are you, man?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm fantastic. I'll tell you why, John, because I watched your new music video before we did this, man, and I have to say it is quality.
Thank you.
And it makes me feel really good watching that, man, because it is it's just so cleverly done.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. John, like, congratulations first of all on the single. Like, it's incredible. But that video is just fantastic. Like the cheesiness and the smiling and the kids and all that, and then for it to just flip like that, and man, that's got to take some planning. And you know, I've been involved in some subpar music videos, and I see them a lot. This is not one of those videos.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of planning. So I think we actually wrote this song I wrote it in the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And I wrote it because I always wanted, because I work in video production. So like I directed and edited this. So I always wanted to do a short film where kids were just watching a kids show. And then all of a sudden shit went nuts. And like originally, like one of the kids show hosts just crawls through the TV and just chases after them. So it was kind of something kind of silly. And then I'm like, I had an idea for a song, like a meaning for a song, which I want to start writing lyrics to, which is just about how, from a young age, we're always like chasing after a deadline. We're always having deadlines put on us, and how you kind of just set up for failure no matter what, because until you get to that final deadline of death, you just always chase deadlines. That's why at the start of the music video, you got the mum saying, yes, you can watch TV, but only for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Already has a deadline.
Yeah.
So it's just that, it's just that idea. And so when I wrote those lyrics, I'm just like, oh, this music video would be sick. So I wrote the song in the order of how I knew that music video would be, right down to that breakdown. Yeah. And it was something we wanted to do with the song because we, as much as we were all started in pop punk and stuff, none of us really listened to it that much. We actually listened to some heavier stuff too. We listened to a massive range, and we knew we wanted to start doing some heavier stuff, but we're like, how do we introduce our audience into like a heavier side? And we thought, let's just chuck them in the deep end and like
100%. Yeah.
And 100%. That music video has been a long time coming, mainly just because it's been pushed back by just some other singles we wanted to get out of the way first. Because we knew it was our better of the three that we recorded with Jack Newland. So the planning was hectic for it, but I'm super psyched with how it came out.
Can I ask, are any of you guys wrestling fans?
Because no, but our manager is.
There's something called the Firefly Funhouse, which is like a kids TV show, like in the wrestling. Like I used to watch it when I was a kid, but then I've just, you see it on and I'm like, what the fuck is going on there? Like, and it's kind of like that's like a kids TV show, but it's dark and like it's incredibly, it's scary almost. You know what I mean? So, and like, so you shot that video as well?
Oh, I didn't shoot it, but I
was going to say it would have been a hard job.
I know, just holding a camera the whole time. I wrote and did all the set designing and editing and everything like that. Directed it as I was like performing, but I got a good friend of mine, David Churcham, and he DOP'd it, so he shot it. And then a guy I've been working for ages, Andy's the gaffer, and did all the lighting and built up all the rigs and stuff. And then I think we had some other crew, but big shout out to Brooke, who did the zombie makeup and stuff, because that was hectic. That was good fun. So it was a good production. It surprisingly wasn't our biggest production. We had a huge production on a song, probably our second ever release, which absolutely bombed. So
it
was good to tone it down a bit with this, but we feel like it'll do well. We feel like it'll do better than the other one.
Absolutely, man. It's quite brilliant. I said to you before we started this, man, I've got two questions to ask you, and I briefly touched on one, but I've still got one that I wanted to ask. And two, when you said about the production thing there, when I first watched the video through, I was thinking these guys must have spent an absolute fortune on this. And then I rewatched it again, and I was like, no, they're just really, really clever. Like you've definitely put a lot of like money in, but it's not quite as much. You've been very clever about how you've actually done it. Because I was thinking about like looking at your sets and stuff and looking at the, your different scenes and stuff. And I was like, man, this is just really clever production.
It's all illusion. It's all
Yeah.
illusion. Yeah, it definitely was one of our bigger budget ones, but by no means we didn't really break the bank. Most of the the real costs just went to maybe studio hire and paying the guys, because I always make sure people are paid. But yeah, in terms of like the prop design and stuff, we cut corners but in a clever way, kind of thing. And we definitely had some free help along the way. Like Selena, who designed our bunny logo, when I told her I was like, I told her I was making a bunny, and I made the bunny first and sent it to her. I'm like, what do you think? She's like, give that to me right now. That's terrible. I'm going to make it. I'm like, I mean, it wasn't finished, but she's like, I'm like, okay, you take it. And she did an awesome job. So it's definitely like, it's a low budget music video, but has the high production value kind of illusion.
And I think that's more important sometimes, man. Like you could spend $100,000 making a music video, or you could spend $1,000 and get a better result sometimes if you put the brain power into it. But I touched on too, like, what was the reaction of the neighbors? A spoiler alert for anybody who hadn't seen it there, but there is a scene where a guy with a bunny with a chainsaw is chasing children down a street. Like, what were the neighbors saying when that's going on?
Sorry, I just have to say, hearing someone else explain it is like twice as funny as the actual scene.
It's so ridiculous, but it works so much.
The neighbors are so funny.
Yeah.
So we had a mix. So we had people driving past who were just like almost crashing into things, staring. At one point, we moved out of the way, and there's this guy holding a chainsaw, and these people look terrified.
Yeah.
And another one, we just had people coming out of their houses and watching, and we had a little kid who wanted to come and meet the bunny. We're like, safety reasons, let's just keep everyone away from each other. But the absolute funniest one, I'll never forget this. As we're driving, we moved out of the way, this car slows down, and this guy in the car says, "Get that fucking bunny off the fucking road," and zooms up. I'm like, I was not expecting someone to be so angry, but okay. He didn't even care it was a bunny. He just hated someone was on the road. So.
I just imagine some like old couple drinking like their tea in the morning and like staring out the window going, "Oh, it's a lovely day today, isn't it?" And then they look out the window and they just see these children running and this bunny carrying a chainsaw. Just
imagine someone had a big night, right? Yeah. And on a bit of a come down or whatever, fucking the world's against them, the world's on the shoulders. And you see a 6'5" bunny chasing kids with a chainsaw. You'd be slapping yourself like, what is going on here? Oh man, honestly, the concept, as you were saying before about like production cost and whatever, the concept alone is good enough. So this is going to be a video that people forever go back to, man.
Thank you. I hope so.
No, 100% they will. 100% they will. So how did the song come to be then? Like how did that come to be the new single?
Yeah, so we recorded. We always knew this would be our third single that we'll drop.
Yeah,
we recorded 3, first time ever professionally recording. Like our first EP was with Nick Sjogren from Thornhill, but he's still kind of, he's great, but still kind of learning the craft. Next EP, we don't know why, and we hate it. We want to delete the EP forever, but we recorded it ourselves. And no one else cares. It's just because we know every little thing wrong with it, and we just listen to it. We just cringe. So part of us wants to re-record a couple of them, but anyway, so that's just kind of sitting there. We then did our song Meltdown, recorded ourselves, but sent off to Nick. But then in our next 3 singles, we really wanted to up the production value with them. So we actually spent some money on that and went with Jack Newland, who's done Stuck Out, Snark, Between You and Me.
Oh, nice.
And we just loved his stuff. It sounded so crisp. And so we just went to him. He was keen. So it's funny, when we took Deadline to him, we brought us into the studio. He's like, "All right, guys, cool song. It's got the bones, but I've got to make some changes because it's just not going to work." Flat out removed the breakdown and removed all the stuff, removed and made it and really shortened it to make it a pop song. And we're like, "Look, we know what you're doing, but no." It was the one thing where I'm like, "No, we don't even care how polarizing it is. We don't even care if it angers some current fans or like, you know what I mean, or it doesn't do well on radio, whatever. We're just like, this is a vision, and this is something we want to kickstart the future of the Drastic Park." And so, yeah, he was good with it. And then he ended up loving it anyway once we recorded it, and it was out of that crappy demo stage. This song has always been about the shock value, even without the music video. It's about, happy, fun, kind of thing, and then but with a weird undertone of like really morbid lyrics, which is a lot of pop punk these days anyway. But forever it's just morbid, happy sounding morbid lyrics, and then we just want to like throw in just like some death and gloom in the middle, and then come back to pretty. So yeah, it was definitely an experiment, which we hopefully it pays off.
I think it will, man. I really do, because I've noticed, especially in like the the times we're living in at the moment, I feel like when you release a song now, it seems to hold less of a value than it did in the past, because everyone's releasing songs. There's hundreds, thousand songs going onto Spotify every day and being chucked around in different playlists, and it's so hard to stand out. But visually, it's a lot easier to stand out if you've put out a music video, and it's also, I'll give you a little backstory here. Well, I went and studied at like at TAFE a couple of years ago, and I was doing like a music course. And my music business teacher was telling us the story of how he was trying to tell everybody about music business. And he had Michael Clifford from 5 Seconds of Summer in his class. And he goes, I'm just thinking that this kid in the back who's half listening is a bit of a stoner, a bit of a loner, and whatever. And he comes to me at the end of the class and he's going, what do I do? I've got 250,000 people on YouTube. Where do I go? Where do I go from here? And it was just because it made a very like intentional move to push and find his niche visually as well as sonically through YouTube and stuff. And I think if you can tap into that, man, it's so clever, and it's just a way of getting ahead. Like me and Jack have had conversations so many times about, why don't bands put out concept albums or stuff like that, and it's like the only way you could do it is tapping in visually, which you've done a fucking fantastic job. So I think we're in 2 years, if we do this interview again, it'll be very different. It'll be us trying to get you for backstage somewhere at a festival, or trying to get you in a car or a plane.
Try and get me in a car. Sounds hot.
Yeah.
I always whenever I write music, with all music, I just see it visually. That's why I work in video production. If I'm writing a song, I'm already planning the music video in my head, kind of thing. I just see it. I just see music. So I'm a very visual person. The only thing that ever stops you is even if you do a low budget music video, it's still money. It's still that kind of thing. Yeah. And you don't want to just put something out there with no money, because production value is everything. So if we ever have money and we're ever doing so well that we can do a full concept music video storyline across the whole album, that would be epic, because that's like the hype for me. That would be so sick.
You know what? Hamish has actually spoken about that before, and I do think it's a fantastic idea. I don't know why, but the idea of, as you said before, Hamish, constant music being out, and it's every day. There's new releases every day. With this video, I think you're very wise actually to say, look, we might piss off some existing fans, but when they see the video, they'll get it, right? And that is so. I respect that so much, because the idea that you will say, okay, well, we'll forego what might happen on, Spotify or the other streamers, right? But when they see that video, they'll get it. And I feel like people will be so entertained, and like, honestly, man, I can't get that image out of my mind. Yeah. Like it's going to be a video that is around for a very, very, very long time. So I think you've absolutely done the right thing. And I know it's hard sometimes to say to a music producer, I know you do this, but this is what we're thinking. Yeah. So, man, it's kind of like the gusto about it. And honestly, I think bands are a little bit scared to take chances. And I feel like music videos have kind of went in the way of, you don't really need videos for things anymore. But people will talk about this video for years, whereas a song can just, maybe land on the playlist a few times that they get. So it's I think that's a key thing. And I think if you are wanting to do that and go and shoot a concept album and shoot it as like a film, that in itself is going to be massive, absolutely massive. And not many bands have got the brain power or the willpower to go and do that. So exactly. Little cheers, man.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Very, very impressed.
And the thing is, when I watched it, man, is I kept pulling back pulling back and going back to the start and watching it again. And I was like, and that means you're probably going to get 2 or 3 views out of every single person who comes and watches it, and then because it's so cleverly done, man, it's one of those things where I wanted, to tell everyone about it. I was like, watch this, and look at this. So I think things start moving very quickly for you. But I feel, this interview is funny, man, because usually we start at the start of the person's career, and move forward. And I think we've done the Pulp Fiction storyboard here.
I think they did the Pulp Fiction actually in the video.
Yeah.
It's very Tarantino inspired.
So Tarantino.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The calm before the storm. That's what Tarantino is. It's just like happy and calm, and then it's like fuck you.
A hurricane at the end.
Well,
man, so how did the band come to be then? How did you all get together?
Well, me and the bassist quit music. Me and him, we've been in bands since I was 15, and we just had failed band after failed band. There's always 1 or 2 guys in a band that just like don't, you got to pick up the slack for them, and it ends up falling apart. And then sometimes when a key member leaves, you just don't want to go on. And we just had so many failed ones. Some where I've gone off on my own, some where Chris has gone off on his own to other bands. And I reckon I've had like 15 failed bands. Like, it's always been what I wanted to do. And I've just pushed and pushed. And then
you must have the patience of a saint, man, to be able to keep
I lost the patience.
Yeah.
I lost the patience, and one day said, I'm done. I've given up, and I wanted to move on with my life and start a family. So when my son was born, all of a sudden I experienced something I never experienced in my life, which is anxiety. I started experiencing like anxiety over crib death and things like that. And all of a sudden it just caused me to sit down on my laptop and write some lyrics. And then I'm like, I'll put some music to it and it'll never go anywhere. And then I did. I'm just like, oh shit, this is pretty good. And I sent it to Chris. I'm like, what do you think of this? He's like, I think we need to start a band. I'm like, really? Now that I've got a family? And so, yeah, we did it. And that song was called Little Things. And so we went on and wrote a few things, enlisted a drummer called, since we weren't serious, we got a drummer. His name was Jordan. He was our first drummer. And he was also in a band. His main band was Interception. And they were doing pretty well. And then I think we just didn't take it seriously until all of a sudden one day, who we owe our entire success to, Steve Canatelli. He's a band coach. And not that we thought we needed it, but we thought we could like fix a few things in our set. And when he came, it turns out there was so many things wrong. And he fixed everything right down to our confidence and our belief. So he said after hearing the songs, he's like, biggest issue you guys have is you got something really good here and you don't really care about it. And so right then, me and Chris, not so much Jordan at the time, because he's in another band, we were like, I guess the songs are pretty good. We could push it a little bit. And so from then on, I think we have just been obsessed with the band ever since, and like trying to give it its best shot. And yeah, we had a couple releases and we got a bit of success out of that. And Jordan couldn't keep up with 2 bands that were kind of at the same level. Yeah. So he wanted to, and his heart was more with hardcore. So he just stuck with his hardcore band. And then we auditioned a couple drummers. And then we went back to Steve Canatelli and we said, do you know any drummers? And he's like, yes, I know the one. You will hire him as soon as you play with him. He's like, trust me on that. And anyway, we met him online. He sent a video of him playing our first single, Bother Me, which he totally revamped and he Travis Barkered it basically. Yeah. And we heard that. We kind of already made a decision, but as soon as we met him, we clicked and we were all the best friends. And that's why this band has come so far, because we have 3 guys all on the same wavelength who understand the balance of like, things like family and personal lives and work with the band. And it's just kind of just been really organic and worked well. So we kind of see that as the start of our band. Everyone actually thinks our band's only 2 years old, but it's like 4. It's pretty old. So yeah, Joe would kind of like ignited it all. And from there, as soon as he joined, we played the Corner Hotel, which was a pretty big deal for us, supporting Anti-Skeptic and Forum Music Only and stuff. And then COVID hit. So
yeah, that big old thing, that Tarantino movie.
Yeah. And then, but that was also a godsend for us, because a lot of bands just were like, oh, time to take a break. And they went on really long breaks. and we're just like, nah, we're on a high at the moment. Let's just make some stuff. And we just recorded some home demos, and then we thought, let's just release them. They're crap, but let's release them. And then got really successful over that. We got Cassie in from Terra, and that really bumped us up too, getting someone already in a fairly established band. And then, yeah, that lockdown, we came out of lockdown and put on and announced a show, and it sold out in 8 hours.
Jeez, man.
Shit.
That's how much that's a mix of people wanting to get back to shows, but also just like been aching to see that band after we released 3 singles in that time. So
yeah,
that was the one year. And then the next era, I think, is when we started to experiment with some heavier stuff, with that song like Meltdown and Snakes and Ladders and Lost. And then there's this one. So
Lost, I really like Lost, man. That's a track I've sent about. So even like my brother, who's a casual music fan, like he'll be okay with me saying that, but I sent him that, and Snakes and Ladders as well, man. The thing is, like when you were saying before about how anxiety kind of led you to writing lyrics again, I've been there myself, and I'd been like, I was out of music myself at that point. So, and I actually found comfort again in just saying it, just getting it out and saying it.
Yeah, you got to express it somehow.
I think good on you for saying that, man. Like, really, not a lot of people talk about that, but it is a great way of expressing yourself and to just clear the mind, and get it out there. But when the whole idea of, you're saying the band's a couple of years old, or like COVID doesn't count, but at least you've been constantly proactive in, to release home demos, essentially, that must be a terrifying thing. Because so we were recording a lot of demos and things over lockdown, but I was using like Apple headphones into GarageBand. I couldn't release any of those. Nobody needs to hear any of those.
Yeah,
so you must have a good understanding of studio setup and be wise enough in production.
No.
Come on,
a little bit. I think there was a lot of trial and error, and it's still an error in our minds. But I think Joe had the most studio experience, so he really knuckled down at something that sounded terrible. But it was I was doing all the mixing and the mastering and the stuff, something I'd never done before, and we just did it all in Reaper. I had the bloody pod earbud. That's what I was mixing with. Terrible. And I think it was like I knew nothing at one point. I'm like, Chris didn't know where to record his vocals because we were all in separate locations. So I'm like, in a closet? No, never, because it sounded terrible.
Yeah.
A lot of things we learned, but that was so invaluable for us because when we did go into recording, we knew so much more. It really streamlined the process, and we understood how it was going to work. We still learn a lot through Jack. He's like an absolute mastermind, but it definitely helped. But I think it was better that we released it rather than we didn't, because it would have just been dead. We really needed some music, and another thing that helped us in lockdown is because obviously like I'm working video production and like I just love making memes. We just did some parodies and stuff, which absolutely took off, and we went viral. So a fair bit of our like Facebook audience is actually people that came for the memes. I think we did a song called Karen Song, which was a parody of Adam's song, except it was about the Karens all through the start of COVID, and we just kind of made fun of them, and I think it got like 300,000 views or something. Jeez, so that also that was good because people just kept on messaging us saying it's so good to be able to be kept entertained in all this doom and gloom, and so that's really people really went to us above all some other bands, because we're always serious about what we do, but we don't give the look that we're serious. We do like have a bit of fun. So that's always been a big part of what we do too, and it shines through in Deadline too, because it's just us having a laugh basically.
Yeah, well, that's it. You can tell even like when you listen to the music, you can tell it's fun for you guys anyway. You know what I mean? I think a lot of bands get a little bit, I'm guilty of this myself, don't get me wrong, but being a little bit too serious about your music and, oh no, this is what I want it to be and whatever. And at the end of the day, man, the reason we all start playing music is because it's fun.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, John, can I ask a question here? Like, I want to know, how old are you, dude? When you said you had a family, I thought we were like the same age here.
I'm 29.
Holy shit, man. You look amazing. I thought you were like, 22, 23, about my age. I'm just follically challenged. I thought, oh man, he's can grow a better beard than me.
Challenged.
But oh wow, man. I was shocked when you said that, because I was I thought you were about 22, 23, but
oh yeah, I've given off that vibe. I think I'm still a kid inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just I've like, as you can see, I've got a band, man. My head's still in the clouds.
Yeah.
So like I've never felt. I mean, physically, I feel old now because I feel my body's falling apart. But yeah, my brain is always going, a million miles a second, man. Especially at night. So I've never felt like my mind's getting old. So yeah. We're an old band. I'm the youngest in the band. Joe's 33, Chris is 32, I think. But yeah, we all feel young. Like that's the thing about punk music too. Like it never feels old, and unless you unless you look really old, and then you're kind of just making dad punk. But we're not quite there yet. We're still like to have a bit of like youthful sound to it. It comes through with mine and Chris's voices too, because when we sing, we don't sound like
no, that's for sure. Like
there's no like coughs going on.
And I want to touch on too, like Jack, we just talked about the origins and stuff of the band, but whose idea was it to come up with the name?
Oh yeah, me. Yeah, that was kind of just. I just said it once and then it just went. I don't know. We had some other ideas. I think we had some comedic ideas. I think the first one I said was Viagra Falls.
Nice.
But and then what was the other one? I can't remember. I really wanted to call it the Wet Bandits, like off Home Alone, but no, I wasn't gonna fly with Chris. So and then I just said Drastic Park, like Drastic Park, and he just had a laugh. It was good because I think the first time we really knew we decided well with that band name was our first single got played on Triple J by Josh Muriel.
Yeah.
And he said straight up for the song, he's just like, I love this band's name. It's like Drastic Park, but like Drastic Park. And he's like, oh, I love it. And I'm just like, okay, cool. We've made a good decision. And it sticks in people's heads because they're like, Drastic Park.
Yeah.
The worst part about the name is SEO. People search us on Google, they're probably not going to find us unless they actually search, did you mean, and like they don't click that. So
did you mean?
Yeah. Same with YouTube. Yeah, it just shows up with Drastic Park all the time. But
you know what you should have, man, and like if you don't, I really think you should. Before you walk on stage, Drastic Park music plays, right? And then you'd have Richard Attenborough say, "Welcome to Drastic Park," and you start playing. If you don't,
way ahead of you.
You did that already?
Exactly what we did.
Oh man,
for so long, yeah.
So cool.
We might bring it back at some point. We just got
to Oh, you've got to. That's if I was in the crowd, I would go off. Dude, if I heard that.
The first post on our Facebook, if you go all the way back, is it just has like we're walking up. And he's like, welcome. And I put a test down there, I'm like, to Drastic Park. And Sam Neill turns around and there's 3 dinosaurs with their heads walking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we used that audio, Drastic Park, at the start of each show. And when we just stomped around like dinosaurs being idiots and like screeching and shit. And people loved it. But I think to a level, we try and up the production value, the seriousness of our live shows a little bit, because a lot of the content we write is pretty serious, but by no means do we take it seriously on stage. But I think we just want to try something different for the starts of our sets, which has been good. But I'm sure it'll make an appearance at some point, especially if we ever play to like a newer audience, maybe outside of Melbourne or, God forbid, outside of Australia. You know what I mean? So it might make an appearance then. But I'm glad we think alike on all these ideas.
Yeah, man, that'd be honestly like to be in the crowd. That'd be the coolest thing, especially if like you're just someone who's like listened online or wherever, and then you're like, oh, those guys are playing it. We'll go down and watch. And then for the show to start like that you've got them straight away. No matter what, you've got them. People are tuned in, ready for it.
Yeah, smart. Yeah.
Could you overdub your like introduction track so it's like it comes out with saying it's Drastic Park, starts to play that little bit of the sweet theme music, and then you're like, overdub it with somebody going, "No, bitch, we said Drastic Park," and then it's going all crazy.
Did you mean?
Did you mean? Did you mean? Just Google comes in and says, "Hey, did you mean this?"
But I think the good thing is, like it's a win-win because Google are probably going to slap you a little bit for having the name Drastic Park. But I think when you meet somebody, and like if you do any of those, like I once did one of those things to count cards, like when I was a kid, and it's like a technique of memory is linking things to other things that you already know. So if you tell them, "Oh, my band's Drastic Park," no one's ever going to forget it because everyone's like, "He's in that band, the one that sounds like Jurassic Park."
Yeah. There's definitely a thought behind it.
Yeah, it's definitely a win-win, man. And I don't know, man. I just think it's exciting for you guys. I feel excited for you talking about all this stuff, man. And like, did you put your videos up on TikTok as well?
We did go viral on TikTok, but not for anything music related.
Oh.
So I didn't have a TikTok. So something happened to me where, and I didn't have a TikTok to post it, so I just posted the band one. It went huge.
Something happened. What happened?
You might even seen it, but this is totally non-music related. So
yeah, that's cool, man.
But I was working from home, and my boss at the time, he sent me a hard drive down from Melbourne because I live in Wallen in the middle of nowhere. And the Uber driver calls me. He's like, I'm here. And I walked outside. I'm like, no, you're not. Where are you? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm stuck in a ditch. And so I'm like, there's no ditches here. What do you mean? He's like, can you come get me? I'm like, I couldn't find him. And I drove around everywhere. I'm like, I stopped. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, put your hazard lights on. He's out in the middle of a field, no roads there, just a giant muddy field, stuck in a ditch. And I was just like, I was filming myself cracking up laughing.
Why? Did you think he was taking a shortcut or like?
So there's an actual issue with Uber drivers where if they come our way, there's like this road that's leading to an estate being built next to us, but it's nowhere near. It's just a big ditch, and it's a road that leads to nowhere. Okay, so any normal person would stop at the end of that road and say, "Oh, no road. I must have taken a wrong turn. Let's reassess and go back and maybe call." This guy thought, "I'm going to follow my GPS to a T. I'm not. It's fuck. What's that from? Is it an Office where he's like trust the GPS and he drives into
the river?
This guy did that. He drove all the way into a ditch until he got stuck. And so I filmed myself go and help the guy, and I helped him. Yeah, I went and got the hard drive for him, and helped organize someone to come and pick him up, and it ended up costing me a fair bit of money. But it was so weird. It was just the weirdest experience, and like it just blew up on TikTok. But
I have to watch this.
Yeah, just
have to watch this.
Go to the Drastic Park, Drastic_Park TikTok. It might just be Drastic Park. I don't know, but it'll be.
Did you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but there's a whole other bunch of videos which are kind of music related, but they obviously don't take off because no one likes music anymore.
Well, ain't that the truth?
When he got caught in the ditch, man, did he just keep trying to accelerate out of it and just dig himself further and further and further?
Oh yeah. When I got there, his car was covered in mud, but also him. So I think he was trying to accelerate while pushing.
What?
And I don't know. I'm just like, oh man,
no.
How did not like? The funny thing is, he was facing the way he came, so he must have gone in a circle. He must have made it pretty far. That's impressive.
I like the idea that he's like, when you get the notification on the app and it's like, I have arrived.
Yeah.
It's just like, what?
Oh,
anyway,
funny.
Yeah, I was in stitches the whole time. I died. I'm just like, at the same time, I'm like, man, I really needed to edit this. It's like due the end of the day.
Imagine like that was his last job of the day. He's like, right, I'll get there. I've got to take little Marissa to the dentist. Oh, like, Marissa, Daddy's coming for you. And then he's stuck in the field. With you and a phone, videoing him.
It's funny you mentioned that. Because not long after, when I posted the video, it was so viral that his daughter saw it and she's like, oh my God, that's my dad. It was just the funniest story, man. I hope something like that happens to me again one day because as stressful as it was just, I love a good story.
Yeah. What was his justification at the end of it? Like, was he like, did he go into that thinking it was a bad decision? Or
he's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, I'm originally I originally used to live in New Zealand and like, you just had roads like this. I'm just like, But even in New Zealand, if you have a big mud ditch, generally you don't drive into it.
Yeah. Mud's mud.
So funny.
I hold on, I can't get past this. So like when he was doing like the ratings, he must have given you a rating at the end of it. Was he like left my car very muddy? What was it like?
Nah, he didn't. I didn't book the Uber.
What car was it?
Oh, I can't remember. I'd have to check. Oh, I can't remember. I'm not good with car names, but my boss booked it, so my boss didn't get a rating. There was no rating. I'm just like, he's like, do I give him a shit rating? I'm like, fuck no. You give him the best rating you can give an Uber driver, because that is commitment. To be that committed to your job that you don't turn around and say no, fuck yeah. You're pushing all the way through. I mean, you could find another way around, but
just go the right way. Yeah,
he literally went through hell and high water just to get me that hard drive. So much respect. He got 5 stars, that guy.
Yeah, let's give that guy a round of applause. By the way, that guy deserves whatever good things that happened to him. The bleeding idiot. You know what the problem with right? It's like that. Imagine him like going to his bosses and being like, yeah, and they're like, well, why'd you crash? And he's like, well, I was following your satellite. And they're like, oh, and he's like, well, maybe you haven't got the best satellites. And he's stuck in the mud. He's quite literally stuck in the mud.
Yeah,
oh my God, that guy.
He wasn't insured, so he had to pay a fair bit to come and get pulled out, like in the thousands. I know. And he's like, do you reckon? He's telling me this. He's like, do you reckon Uber would pay for something? I'm like, well, definitely plead your case that it's their GPS that's terrible.
Yeah.
And how often do you get this in Ubers where their GPS system is just shocking? Yeah, but like at the same time in my head, I'm like, yeah, then they could plead that who would drive into a ditch.
Yeah, man, it just goes to show, like somebody said to me the other day, they're like, how common is common sense? And like, if you're an Uber driver, right, the one thing that you would have to do your job and you'd probably want to insure is your vehicle.
I bet you there's a cab driver listening to this right now, right? Who's just went, we wouldn't have done that. That's the problem with Ubers, isn't it? You haven't got a clue.
I can't stand taxi drivers as a result of what happened the other night. We were in Sydney, we were playing, and I got a call straight after the show.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I got a call straight after the show that my son had been attacked by a dog, and I was in Sydney. I'm like, crap. So we were exhausted straight after the show, but you know, we got outside, got our gear out, everyone helped us out, and I called it Maxi because we needed like gear. And when the guy showed up, he took one look at the gear. He's like $100 for a 4-minute drive.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I should have just taken it because I had to get back to my son. But I was just like, are you serious? I'm like, bro, my son's just been attacked by a dog. He's down in Melbourne. We got to get back to the hotel so we can start driving back. Yeah. Give us a break. That's a hefty amount of money. And then he just fucking drove off. But in driving off, he kind of like knocked me off too. And I'm just I was absolutely gobsmacked that humans like that exist. So the next taxi driver was lovely. But it's just, that was opposite end of the spectrum where it's just, what a shock.
Yeah, I hope that guy drives home and his wife is getting absolutely pummeled by another man. That's all I'm going to say. Is your son okay? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's all stitched up now and he's good. But
was it bad? Like, is he okay?
Split his lip in two.
Yeah,
had to get plastic surgeon to stitch it up. But yeah,
Jesus.
He was loving the experience.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the poor kid got chased by a bunny rabbit with a chainsaw. Now fighting him.
Do you know, like?
Well, that wasn't my son, but yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
When he gets older now, and if it leaves a scar, like, you know, he can go to the pub now, and someone asks, "Oh, what happened to your lip?" And he's like, "Oh, this one time I went to South Africa and had to fight a lion." You know, he can make up. He can be the bravest man in the room every time.
You think? See, that's a good story. That's a believable story. You know what I mean? I got bit by a lion. That bloke who got stuck in the mud in a field.
Yeah. No.
Shut up, John. Get out of there. Get out of there. But so that, yeah, man. I think, like, I weren't going to bring this up, right? But as we're talking about cab drivers and Uber drivers, I had this one last week who, so I played a gig at Frankie's in Sydney and we were coming back and,
I love Frankie's. We never got a chance to play there too.
You'll have time. I think February next year it's gonna go.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Let's set that up actually because you'll be awesome in there. I'd like to see it in there.
Yeah.
Drastic Park.
Yeah. Well, if we play a show,
can I do it?
if we play Short Rings, I promise we'll do that for you.
All right, I want to do it, and I want Hamish to be in the background.
Yeah, perfect.
That can be a race.
Yeah, doing like just making animal noises, not doing anything weird, but so like we come back from Frankie's and jumped in an Uber and like getting a cab. I feel like since the pandemic as well, it's a nightmare to get cabs because people went and got other jobs. You know what I mean? So like you're just struggling. And so anyway, we get one. They keep canceling. We get one. We get in it, and then he goes, "Oh, the job has disappeared." And I was like, "No, it hasn't." I was like, and it just like went off my phone, but he'd cancelled it. And he went, "Oh, my mistake." And it was for like $35, right? And I went, "All right, sweet, same price." And he went, "Yeah, I'll just drop you off. Like, I've got a card ready to do it when you get home." So then we get home. And I'm like tired, right? And he gets the car read and I just go, boop, 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 boop. And he charged me like $80.
Oh.
And he went, "Oh, well, that's what it was, wasn't it? You know, it comes up like 2 times, whatever." And I went, "Yeah, but that still would be less than $80, wouldn't it?" And he went, "Oh," and I was like, "Man, like,
What a bastard.
I just can't even comprehend." And I've hurt me back recently, right? But like at that time, I had back brace on. I wanted to pull this guy out and the living daylights out of him.
Oh.
And then I just like let it go. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it now. And I know it wasn't probably the same guy who got stuck in the ditch by your house, right? But imagine it was.
Yeah, man.
Imagine it was.
I feel like taxi drivers have like have a chip on their shoulder. I was recently in one as well, and this taxi driver pulls up, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm just going 10 minutes down the 10 minutes. You know, it's going to be a 10-minute trip." Anyway, he gets in, and I get in the car, and we start pulling off, and the taxi driver pulls out a cigarette, and he goes, "I bet you were thinking about getting an Uber tonight." He smelled the cigarette, interrogating me about my like potentially me getting an Uber later tonight. And I was like, "No, man, I got in the taxi." And he goes, "But if I wasn't here, you would have got in an Uber, yeah?"
He's like a paranoid girlfriend.
Yeah, probably. And he goes, "See, that's the problem with society today." And I was like,
"I bet you're thinking about getting in an Uber tonight." So I wish I would have. No, you're a loser.
And he was one of those lunatic. It was one of those blokes who smokes their cigarettes, just going. And I was like, "Man, I feel really unsafe in this taxi."
You should have got an Uber, and instead you got in the car with Robert De Niro and Taxi Driver.
Pretty much, man. And
with a lunatic.
And he pulled up to let me get out of the car, and I get out of the car, and he just hoons off, like accelerates off as soon as I get out of the car, like just floors it. And I was like, "All right, man."
I'm sorry, but this is on par with a paranoid girlfriend saying, "You're cheating on me, aren't you?"
Yeah.
and then just takes off. It's like, "No, I'm not." And it's like, "Fuck you." And then storms out of the room. That is what happened to you, except with the taxi driver who doesn't know you.
Yeah, exactly. It was the most bizarre experience of my life.
And you were inside the taxi driver, not inside. I mean, inside. Never mind. Doesn't matter. So, man, what are like the big plans then for the year? Like, what going forward are you looking forward to? You know.
Oh, well, just before this podcast, we knew it was happening, but we didn't know it was being announced now. So by the time this podcast drops, hopefully you can still buy tickets to it, but we are supporting Real Friends.
Oh, nice. Sick.
Wednesday the 27th. So, yeah, when this drops, if there's still tickets available, buy them. But this is just in Melbourne, so... But, that was really cool. I think we were on the way up to Sydney when our booking manager was like, "Hey, you want to play this?" I'm like... Yeah. Don't even ask, just put us on it. So that's cool with our friends Catholic Kilt. So that's a good one. And then look, I mean, I don't know if we will have announced it by this time, but obviously we'll do a headline run for this show because it'll be the deadline headline. It's perfect.
Nice.
So not sure. We're still organising dates, but by the time this podcast drops, we'll probably know. In terms of plans after that, obviously we've got a whole heap of music that we want to get out there. We just got to choose which ones because albums are expensive. So
hell yeah.
It'll probably have to be an EP, but we're definitely writing some new stuff, which is all pretty cool. And we've already moved on from Deadline. We're onto other things.
It's so crazy, isn't it? Like when, my brother, we had a song come out the other week, and my brother said to me, he's like, "Song's really good," and I was like, "Yeah, recorded that last year, like in June of last year." I'm glad you like it, but in my mind, like like we've recorded another 8 songs or whatever since then. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I'm glad you like it. When we recorded it and I got the mix back and I listened to it non-stop for 3 days, I really enjoyed it as well. Or,
I understand.
It's weird. It's weird with your own music like that, man, because the idea that everything is such a process. I feel like when you're younger getting into music, you don't think about that. You know what I mean? You think like the Beatles wrote yesterday and it came out tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of the thought that you just go woo and it's out there, but that's not how it works. So I feel like anytime you speak to anyone who's just released a song or like releasing something, like it's just time for it to be out now. Because for you personally, you've just been holding on to that song. You know,
when as much as I'm not bored of the song, it's just like I don't really go.
You can't say that. We're not bored of it.
I don't go out of my way to listen to it. I think it's more the thing. Like when I listen to it, I'm like, I love this. I really love this. We all think it's our best song. We love it. But I just live for that high you get. I love the high of writing. I love the high of recording. I love the high of performing, but I also love the high of release, as in releasing the song. So like, I'm a release junkie. I just love release days so much. Yeah. Some musicians get real bad anxiety about it. They turn off social media for a day. They just can't deal. Or I'm just like, I just live on it. I'm just like, it's terrible. Like, this is coming from a guy who like I've been in the meme business before, as in like I've got a meme page on YouTube. It's got like 75,000 followers. It's just like Star Wars memes and Spider-Man memes, and like they just got millions of views. And so I'm so used to just seeing stuff tick up that like I've started to get a high out of, even if the streams aren't that high, I get a high out of just checking my phone. I'm like, that's grown a bit. You know what I mean? Like I think I get very excited. So if I could release a song all the time, I would, but I think people would get bored of this.
I think that's what keeps me and Jack interested in this podcast, is that whole thing of like just releasing stuff and putting out stuff, man, because there is no better high too than exactly doing that, you know?
Well, it's human, man, because if you think about it, like even if you're not a creative person, when you're a kid, like if you just do a drawing of a stick figure and you're so proud of it that you want everyone else to experience it, and so you just get it to your mum and you just love that she puts it up on the fridge. That's what music is. That's what podcast is. That's what any kind of creative outlet is like, unless you're putting it out, like what's the point of it? You know what I mean? I don't know anyone who just creates stuff for themselves and doesn't like it to be seen or heard. That's what creativity is all about.
That's a really interesting way of putting it, actually, man. How about if things don't do well, though? Can you deal well with that? Because
it's fine. Like we know what we like. Like we still do it a lot for the enjoyment of what we do. And we love Lost, and we've got a really good response from that. But in terms of release, it's probably been our worst release stream wise, as in view counts, everything just bombed. And I think that comes down to marketing. We went for dark marketing, and like I think people just kind of expect a bit of color from pop punk, and I think we knew that. I don't think it would have changed the way we market it, because it's a very dark concept. But it didn't do well, but it still goes off live, so it's got its key audience. But for example, Snakes and Ladders, which we do love still, but that has been our best campaign by far. It just kind of took off and did really well. So but at the same time, like even if the stream counts aren't amazing, like you still have so much pride in what you do. And there's something also exciting about building up your discography, I think. Because every new release, every new fan is going to go back and hear that song. And so that it's not like that song's disappeared into nowhere. It's going to exist forever and just keep building.
And it's fun, and it feels like there's no better feeling too, man, is like when you've grown something from nothing as well. Like, it feels amazing because you've seen the journey from start to to wherever it's going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think personally, man, as well, like just God forbid this band's not around in a few years, you can go back and listen to that journey yourself. You know what I mean? Nobody really talks about that, but like as musicians and being in bands or whatever, that's a lot. You write songs for you. You know what I mean? So it's like I've been there myself, and I think to go and just listen, and you're listening to your own journey essentially is, I think it's massive, man. It's massive.
Well, for me personally, like having a family, and kind of I live quite far away from like all my friends and stuff. I think in order to keep this band alive, I've had to sacrifice a few things, which is I've had to sacrifice essentially my social life, because I used to have quite a thriving one. I just kind of like go out all the time and hang out with friends and work friends and stuff. And now, man, I'm really able to see friends. So all my best friends are the friends that still understand that, and they're still friends with me regardless. I've definitely lost friends along the way who just required me to constantly be there. But that's the thing, because I know one day when I'm old and grey, I'll look back and say, I did something really cool here. But if I didn't, I'd probably look back and say, I did what everyone else does and just goes out and has fun with friends. And like, you can make memories that way, but like none of them are like actual, I'm not saying songs are material, but they're actual memories that can sit there and you can experience over and over.
Yeah, like tangible things. It's not. Yeah.
I'm not saying, you know, social experiences aren't, you know, super important and you have those memories forever. But I personally like want to leave something behind. And I also want, you know, my kids to be inspired by that and realize that, you know, even if you can have a family and still do other stuff. So for example, my wife too, she's always very unwell. But yet she still works almost full time. After having, you know, 2 kids, and she is like still smashing it in her career. And when, you know, most people think, you know, once you have kids, that's done. You know, especially for women, you're a mum, you can't do anything anymore. It's like totally not true, man. Like kids don't stop you from doing what you want to do. And I always say like, it's not that kids would have stopped me from making music. It's just like making music didn't stop me having kids in a way. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Hey,
it's a very good way of looking at it, man.
One thing I wanted to like comment on there, man, is the awesome thing is like when your son grows up and goes to school and stuff, and they're like, oh, what does your dad do? And they're like, oh, my dad's a lawyer, and they're like, oh, you know, what does your dad do? And your son is just like, you know, and shows the video.
Like, my dad dresses up in wiggles stuff and then gets slaughtered by a bunny.
Yeah, but I mean, it's much more cooler than yeah.
Is legacy something you think about?
Not really, not necessarily legacy, just more what I teach my kids. I think. Like my daughter loves all the songs. One of the songs I wrote about like little things, and then she sings it all the time. She knows it's about.
Oh man, that's adorable. That is absolutely adorable.
We played an all ages gig, and she got up and sang that song.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh so, man, that's amazing.
Just weird. Yeah. I want to teach them like you know, don't let a career stop you having a family. Don't let a family stop you having a career. Things like that. Or stop your dreams. You know, you can have it all.
Yeah.
So it's not so much legacy, but it's definitely it's not so much like will I be remembered. It's just like will I have an impact.
Yeah, and especially with the kids, you know, like the kids to always have that and that be passed on. But one thing you said, and I really liked what you said about, you know, the nights out and experiences and that, like. I think obviously as songwriters anyway, as anyone who's creative, it is very important to go out, see your friend, and to go and experience life. 100%. But how many nights out do you need?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think so. Like Hamish and I are doing a challenge for a year. We're not drinking alcohol for a year, right? And it's let's see how big we can get this podcast. Let's see how much time we can put into it. And even so, like, because I've got my band, I've got a job, I've got this now, and I've still got my missus. So it's about balancing all those things. So we've basically had the challenge. Whoever drinks first has to get the other one's name tattooed on the other one, on their arse cheek.
That is perfect.
On Hamish's arse, it'll just say Jack's.
But he's not going to own my ass, so there's
your ass is mine.
Competitive edge.
Your ass is grass, and I'm the lawnmower.
Please, Jack. You know, like I think you're going to crack first, and it's going to be like when Bart Simpson signs El Bardo, and that's how.
That's my worry. I just don't want Hamish on my, like, I haven't got any tattoo. I feel like if your name is the first tattoo I get on my my beautiful Jennifer Lopez like arse, then I'm just gonna go like all out, and I'll have face tattoos and stuff. But man, that thing about being constant and having the family and still being able to produce. I think people make a lot of excuses sometimes, man. and you can still. I know it's hard balancing, like, obviously it's different ball game for you, even to me, having kids and whatever, but you can still do it. But it means that time where you spend out or hungover or whatever, it's just, that's time you spend with the kids then. And those few hours you can get in, maybe when the kids are in bed or whatever, that's when you write your songs. And I think to be balancing it all, you're doing incredibly well. And man, the band is absolutely incredible, and I hope we'll have you again. I hope you'll want to come on again, because this video is gonna skyrocket.
Obviously, want to keep coming on forever. We've got some guys down in Melbourne who we've done three podcasts with, kind of, and we just want to keep doing it with them. They're just like, I think I'll stop for a bit.
Give them a shout out, man. What are they called?
What we did on the weekend.
Yeah.
They're good mates of ours. They've helped us heaps. Yeah. On the I can never go a podcast without shouting out one band. And I was going to say, on the note of having kids and smashing it, Clay J. Gladstone. So
nice.
So I don't know if I have to use his stage name, but Clay.
Yeah.
he's got kids and a wife, and man, that band is doing really well. So it just goes to show, like, just adding to that point, like, if you don't let it hold you back. Have kids, man, because you can still do crazy stuff, because they do crazier shit than us. So got to always shout out Clay J.
Oh man, can I just add to that too? I'll tell you a little story about Clay. Like, we reached out to them, and they've come on the podcast and stuff before, but we kind of felt a little bit intimidated reaching out to them, because, you know, like they're huge in like the local scene and stuff, and, you know, they've all got busy lives and stuff, and they, you know, and we reach out to some people, and they're like, oh, get in touch with our management, whatever, you know, da. They just responded, yeah, when do you want to do it?
Yeah.
You know, and it was that mentality, and it just came together so fast, and it was like, you know, and it was just beautiful, man. And it really, really shocked me, because I thought, I'll definitely hear this is going to be a hard one to get on, and it wasn't. It was so easy, and they were so lovely, man. And like, yeah, nothing but respect for them.
Yeah, they're so responsive. They respond in seconds, and I think there's just bands like them and us who are just still blend in with the crowd a little bit in terms of who we are. Like, we don't really feel above anyone, so we'll respond to everyone. And I hope we can be like that forever. Even if we got big, I hope we can always just not have an ego.
Yeah,
because they definitely don't. Like, you can walk up and talk to those dudes, and they will just, like, they won't leave you alone. They'll be your fans. You know what I mean? Like. So I'm sorry I couldn't tell you that in advance about them, because they'd be just like,
yeah. Oh man. So when anyone asks me about or has said that, man, like, I just put, you know, give them the best word, man, because, you know, they're fucking top dudes. And yeah, don't lose that, man, because it's so nice to see like people that are in the position that those guys are in, because they've worked hard and stuff, just open up arms to everyone and anyone. And, you know, yeah, there's not a lot like that, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
No, not everyone's like that, but man, honestly, I want to tie this in a little bow and say thank you very much for coming on. Congratulations on the release. Like, this has been, I think Hamish and I, we needed this one today, didn't we, Hamish?
Oh, that's for sure, man.
Yeah, we needed this one. So thank you very much, man. Thank you for your time. And yeah, I can't wait to see where this band is in a year's time.
Yeah,
thanks, me too, guys. Man. And I'm sure Chris, who also has COVID, and Joe, who is working today, are going to be gutted when they watch this and realize how much fun they would have had on this podcast, guys. So really appreciate it. Man. It's definitely up there with one of my favorite podcasts I've been on. So
that's good.
Definitely have us back.